If your calories are low but the scale just isn't moving, then chances are it's because your body has adapted. So let's look at the 5 most common mechanisms why your body is not losing weight, what cancels it out, and how to change it. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Ruthie. I'm a nutritionist and health and wellness coach. Also found a platform called Nourished, which provides generalized and tailored meal plans and nutrition services. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to check out my website, but let's dive right in. Let's start off with hunger patterns. In a sustainable deficit, hunger is gradual and predictable. But when hunger becomes more sudden, urgent, and hard to control, it's usually not a calorie issue. It's a timing and blood glucose issue. So poorly timed carbs, long gap between meals, or excessive restriction earlier in the day can drive this. So if you don't have a solid breakfast, you're more likely to binge on things like chocolates or chips or whatever during the remainder of the day. And so chaotic hunger then leads to chaotic intake. So even when your total calories look low on paper, your blood sugar instability is not letting you lose the fat because your body doesn't feel safe to let go of the fat. The next one is that your training signal is too weak. Fat loss quality depends on muscle preservation, and muscle tissue is metabolically expensive. The way to think about this is carbs are your cheap fuel and muscle is your expensive fuel. You want to use up all the cheap fuel first because carbs are easy. You can just eat more and you get more carbs. Whereas muscle is harder to build because you have to go through the process of working the muscle, tearing it for it to rebuild and get bigger. So you don't want to be using your muscle tissue for energy. So if your training volume is high but intensity is low, or if your loads are drifting downwards, it's a signal to preserve muscle because it's weakening. The body becomes more comfortable sacrificing muscle and it ends up conserving fat in its way to preserve the body. And so this shifts weight loss away from fat and towards lean muscle tissue, which is not what you want. So scale weight might not be moving, but internally your body composition worsens. So this is really important to keep an eye out on your training signal. Another one is your deficit only exists on paper. This is a big one. Most people think a deficit is created only by eating less, but most fat loss responds to the gap between intake and output. When calories drop, your body often subconsciously, without really realizing, and consciously lowers your movement. So yes, calories drop, but then your movement, your output is also dropping, which is not great. You don't notice it, you still feel busy, but your step count, your posture shifts, and your fidgeting all decrease. And fidgeting is part of non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is when movements like this, walking, blinking, whatever, all those types of things, also help reduce calories, help reduce weight. And so while your intake goes down, your output also goes down, which means that deficit disappears, doesn't exist. Moving on, your baseline. Many people just jump into dieting without knowing what their body maintains, like what it's required to maintain the body. You don't know your baseline. So if you don't know what your maintenance intake is, you don't know how large or small your deficit should be. So what you think may be low may just simply be a maintenance. So you're not really on a deficit. And so without knowing your baseline, your adjustments become guesses instead of targeted changes, which can reduce your ability to lose weight, even though on paper you're on a deficit losing weight because you've decreased your calories, but you don't actually know what your real calories are. So it's best to get your baseline checked so you know exactly how much of a deficit to be on. And lucky last, stress. Dieting is a stress. Training is a stress. Poor sleep is a stress. Life is a stress. When the total stress load of activities exceed your recovery capacity, your cortisol stays elevated. And the thing is, your body doesn't differentiate between good stress or bad stress. You just see stress, blanket stress. And so high cortisol increases water retention and reduces fat release. You can technically be in a deficit, but still not be seeing the scale move because the fat is being masked. So you may actually be losing weight, but then your fat loss is being masked because your body is retaining onto everything else, sodium, water, whatever else it may be, because it's stressed. So the key thing, try to release some stress, try to be calm, try to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest system, which helps you be more calm. So overall, if your calories are low but fat loss isn't happening, the issue is rarely one thing. It's usually a combination of movement adaptation, weak training signal, unstable hunger, excessive stress, and baseline data. So the best thing to do is track your average steps for 7 days, compare training loads to when fat loss was working, eat consistently and eat timed meals, and hold a plan for 14 days before making changes, because it takes time for a change to actually be seen in the body. So overall, your body is not broken. Your system just needs to be structured more intelligently, and you'll get there. And if you want extra help, please reach out to me. I'm a qualified nutritionist and can help you. Send me a DM, check my website, anything. And yeah, wishing you all a happy digestive system. Until the next one.